forward with the session. We had an amazing session on the mentoring before, and right now our next session would be based on the evaluation. Pretty sure that everyone are quite wondering, how do you actually manage with the evaluation part? Because there could be either too critical or it could be too good with a lot of adjectives. Where is the balance between that? Or how exactly do you not offend the speaker and not scare him to never give the speeches? And to overcome all of these doubts and to give a lot of feedback and suggestions, we welcome Toastmaster Preeti. Preeti is a passionate speaker and a dynamic leader. She inspires her audience with her spontaneous communication and impeccable storytelling. Her keynote speeches are highly engaging and riveting. She is a past president of DET Toastmasters Club. She is a winner at several evaluation, impromptu, and international speech contests. She was crowned as a district evaluation champion of 2021, competing against giants of speaking fraternity. I would like to welcome Toastmaster Preeti to take over the virtual podium to handle the session on how to evaluate. Over to you, Toastmaster Preeti. Please welcome her with a huge round of applause.
Good evening, everyone. I think after this amazing session by Kumran sir, if someone has gone for a coffee, wonderful. But if someone has been on their chair, you can just move your hands, legs, do some exercise so that you can hold on to your screens for the next 45 minutes. Am I audible and visible, Sindhu? Thank you. Pratham, why is your room like this? It was the end of a very tiring day. I was extremely exhausted. I enter my children's room to find clothes thrown all over. I screamed at my son, Pratham, why is your room like this? And I went on and on and on. I was actually breathless. My heartbeats were moving faster. I just banged their room door and went into my room. The next morning, I had a knock on my room door. I opened the door and it was my son Pratham. He came to me and he told me, Mama, I'm sorry. I know you work extremely hard and I promise you that I shall never do this again. But Ma, when you spoke to me yesterday, I felt your heartbeats were faster, you were breathless. Please take care of your health. I love you, Ma. And he hugged me. Dear Toastmasters, I always prided myself as a great evaluator who gave wonderful, positive, and constructive feedback to her fellow club members, even if the speech was not up to my standards. Yet in real life, I had actually failed. Imagine you're the district evaluation champion. People admire you for your evaluation skills. Yet at home, you're highly critical when things do not move as per your expectations. At work, you are judgmental and give harsh feedback to your team members. Toastmasters, don't you think that this attitude defeats the very philosophy or the purpose of why Ralph C. Smedley created evaluation? This wonderful tool called evaluation is not just for us to benefit in the world of Toastmasters, but in real life too. As I start my segment, let me wish all of you a good evening, a wonderful evening to the veteran Kumran sir, Narayanan sir, Sindhu Shri, Neeta, and my friend Arjun. And I cannot forget a lot of wonderful faces in the room who I already know. The ever-smiling Vanita is there. Thank you so much for all your presence, and the many others who I'm not acknowledging right now, but your presence is extremely important. What is the heart of a good evaluation? What is the art of a good evaluation? Who is a good evaluator? At the end of 3 minutes, 30 seconds, a person who delivers a good evaluation, a wonderful one, and a general evaluator says, oh, wow, that is a superb evaluation. Yes, he is a great evaluator. But there is a lot of things that go in the background, a lot of hard work, process, techniques. In the next 30 minutes, I will help you examine all these questions through the 4 dimensions of evaluation. Let me share my screen to let you know which are the 4 dimensions of evaluation. Can you do the slideshow, Neeta?
Since you're sharing your screen.
Yeah.
Okay, you want me to do it?
Screen?
Yes.
Just click all the 4. Hey, Arundhati, hello, how are you? I have a message from her. Yes, so the 4 dimensions of evaluation, I call them the 4 ends of evaluation. The first segment or the first dimension is the nuggets of evaluation, which are the golden principles and practices that will make you a master evaluator. The next dimension is the nuts and the bolts of evaluation, where you will learn the structure and process of an evaluation and how it has to be delivered at the club and at contests. Moving on to the third dimension is the nuances, where I will show you the subtle differences between the club and the contest evaluation. And finally, at the center or the core of evaluation is the need of evaluation, which is a crucial dimension. Is there a need to take evaluation into the real world? Let me quickly take you to the first dimension, that is the nuggets. Neeta. Just play the first nugget, Neeta. The first nugget is the principles. They are the speaking fundamentals of evaluation. Knowledge of the fundamentals of evaluation, not only fundamentals of public speaking, basically, not only make you a great speaker, but also a great evaluator. Study the judging criteria of the international speech contest, and that will give you a winning edge as a great evaluator. The second point Neeta is already put up. Now that you know the principles of evaluation, let us penetrate deeper into the nugget or into the principles of evaluation. When we deliver evaluations at the club level, we tend to focus only on the primary fundamentals: body language, voice modulation, stage management, gestures. Sometimes you may comment on an opening which is compliment the speaker on opening which is extremely good, or maybe comment later on something that the closing is not worked on. But if you see, public speaking or an excellence in public speaking is far beyond this. There are other core elements that many a times we miss out, like timings of pauses. If it's a humorous speech, has he timed the pause well? Was there a suspense that you could understand because of the pause that he made? Or could you understand the emotion because of the pause? It could be transitions in your speech. Has the speaker given you transitions like a Google map to reach from the start to the end of your speech? Were there rhetorical devices or rhetorical language that was used? Was it an audience-centric speech? What I mean by penetrate is, don't just scratch the surface, because gold is always inside the minds, deep within. I'll give you an example. Most of the speakers usually forget the theme. Most of the evaluators forget mentioning about this. Now, if you see, a theme is a resonating and unifying factor that connects the entire speech together. And if you watch the great champions of public speaking, the winners, then you will see every speech of theirs has a theme. If it is present in the speech, compliment. And if it isn't there, let him know about it. So go deeper, penetrate deeper into the principles of public speaking and don't just scratch the surface. The third nugget, Neeta, is performer. Now the evaluator is a performer on stage. If you go back and notice, it is an evaluation speech contest. An evaluation is a speech and you are a speaker. So all the elements of a speech apply here too. Your structure, voice modulation, body language, and most importantly, the tone of your speech. It has to be encouraging, motivating. So perform on the stage as if you're a performer. The fourth nugget is the people. Evaluation is not just between the speaker and the evaluator, but it is for all the people in the room, the audience, the guests, even the other evaluators in the contest and the judges. If you remember how you start your evaluation, it is, dear Toastmasters, fellow guests, and my speaker. But as you move on in the speech, you've forgotten the audience, you've forgotten the guests, and it is just the conversation between the evaluator and the speaker. So involve the audience. If I have to give you an example, suppose the test speaker is Aishwarya. And if I have to involve the audience, how do I involve them? Dear Toastmasters, did you notice how Aishwarya involved all of us with questions? Wasn't that fantastic? Now the audience who is dozing off because you're not interacting with them will all get up and enthusiastically watch your evaluation. Yet a word of caution here would be, you have to talk to the audience, but you cannot talk on behalf of the audience. You cannot say, the audience felt your pace was slow. The audience felt that your tone was a little high. Because remember, evaluation is all about what I saw, what I heard, and what I felt. And that is why it is extremely important that as an evaluator, you use phrases like, in my opinion, I suggest, can I recommend? So now that you know your principles well, you penetrated deeper into the principles, you performed on the stage, you involved the audience, the people around. We move on to the fifth nugget. That is precious. What is precious? At home, for the husbands, it must be the wife. For someone, it must be their job. For someone, it must be lots of money. But in Toastmasters, I think what is extremely precious, can you have the point precious, Neeta? Precious is your time. 3 minutes and 30 seconds are all that you have. Balance it perfectly with the CRC method, that is the compliments, recommendations, and commendations. And then summarize. Use it for helping the speaker improve. Every second of your evaluation is for the speaker and not to draw attention to yourself. Jokes, creative inputs, not helping the speaker. Oh, let us give her a good round of applause. Kudos. Waste your time, the time of the speaker, and the time of the audience. Do not draw attention to yourself and give every minute of yours in giving feedback to the speaker. The next nugget is the practice. The example that I can give you is about the woodcutter who used to sharpen his axe. There was once a woodcutter who used to go and cut wood into the forest. And there's the other woodcutter who sharpens his axe every day and then goes to cut the wood. Now, the one who sharpens the axe is actually the winner because he spends time sharpening his axe. Similarly, you don't become a champion evaluator just by going on the stage for 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Roger Federer didn't become a legend just because he spent time on the court. It was the thousands of hours that he spent practicing his strokes and sharpening his skills. So if you ask me, before I reached the district competition platform, I must have practiced for more than 6 months. And the last nugget, or the most important one, is the purpose. What, according to all of you, is the primary purpose of evaluation? I wish that you type it on the chat box. What do you think is the purpose of evaluation? In a Toastmasters world, or maybe outside. You can type it on the chat box or even unmute and talk. Am I audible? Yes. So Kumran sir says to make a speaker a better person, growth, to help the speaker get better, give a positive feedback. Bhagya says meeting the objectives of the project, what went well. Wonderful. All your answers are right. Actually, the primary purpose of evaluator or evaluation is to motivate the speaker and to offer genuine and constructive feedback. Do we do this? Let us find out whether we do this or not by witnessing the 3 breeds of evaluators that I have come across in my Toastmasters journey. The 3 breeds of evaluators, I call them the eliminator, the elevator, and the equalizer. The eliminator is a very rare breed in Toastmasters, but a dangerous one. He is judgmental and very critical. I still remember a Toastmaster who joined my club, extremely interested in learning public speaking, gets a terrible blackwash evaluation. He never returned to the club. In fact, Toastmasters is a forgotten chapter in his life. These evaluators are eliminators. Coming to the next breed of evaluators, the elevator. They give you genuine, constructive feedback so that you can improve. Like the mentors that Kumran sir mentioned, they will help you improve the way he helped Nehal out. Such evaluators use very positive, encouraging statements. They focus on the problem, not on the speaker. In a club evaluation, they would meet the speaker before the meeting, even after the meeting, spend some hours talking to him. Most importantly, they will focus on problems that can be changed and not something that the speaker has no control on. And added to it will be a tone that is extremely motivating. They are elevators. And the last breed are the equalizers. They neither elevate nor eliminate. They play the safe game. When the speaker goes home and he opens his evaluation sheet, the evaluator has just written the content of his speech and he has nothing to improve on. Now, Toastmasters, I want to ask you, which category do you belong to? Don't type it on the chat box, but just think. Are you an elevator, equalizer, or an eliminator? Wherever you are, it is extremely important and it is time to change. Moving on to the next important aspect, that is the nuts and bolts of evaluation. This is the structure and the process of an evaluation, and it consists of an opening, body, and a conclusion. It tells you exactly what happens in the 3 minutes and 30 seconds. To explain this to you, I have divided this dimension into 4 simple steps. Neither you can put on all the steps. The launch, the celebrate, the educate, and the motivate. We'll stop the screen sharing and we'll learn more about launch, celebrate, educate, and motivate. Neither you can stop the sharing. Coming to the launch. How do I give you an analogy from my life? Well, the launch is the opening of your speech. When I was a little girl, I loved Diwali. I would light the rocket and it would launch into the dark night sky. And just after a few seconds, there would be a boom. And there were yellow stars all over the sky. The opening of your evaluation should be like a rocket launch. Your opening statement must get the attention of the speaker, the audience, and the other evaluators and judges. A word of caution is, please let the rocket land into your house and not in the neighbor's house. By trying a creative opening, please do not mess up your opening. But give a good launch. You could start with a quote, a strong message, or an incident that you loved from the speaker's speech. Add a creative element to it, like an acronym or an analogy. To give you an example, there was a speech which said, fly high. And the evaluator used the acronym FLY to actually present his evaluation. So you can use your own creative style. What do I do? Let me illustrate the opening of an evaluation that I did at my club. I will give you this example of this speaker in the beginning now, and it will continue forward. The demo speaker was Aishwarya, and she was giving a speech about how she helped a beggar on the street. And this was my opening to my evaluation. Get up, little child. Get up. Let's walk to the bakery and have a cake together. The way Aishwarya used her facial expressions and the lower pitch of her voice to convey her emotions touched my heart. The way she characterized the greasy face, the curly hair, and the innocent eyes, I could actually see the child. Good morning, Toastmasters, guests, and my speaker, Aishwarya. Now you notice, I had already covered 3 fundamentals of public speaking in the opening. Her facial expressions, her vivid descriptions, and her voice element. A launch that was attention grabbing and also helpful to the speaker. No kudos, claps, and all that, which is adding no value. Now that you've launched the rocket, the second step is to celebrate. Let us appreciate and commend the speaker on her performance. Tell the speaker what she did well in her speech, what you liked in her speech. Stick to a maximum of 3 commendations because you've already given a few in the opening. And select the ones that you think are most important. What format do I use? I use the what was good and why was it good formula. To demonstrate this again, the way Aishwarya used a theme in her speech, God, that's not fair, which kept resonating throughout the speech, connected me to her central message. Life is not fair, but we have to be fair. You can add other 2 short recommendations if you have time and you wish to. But tell them why it was good and what you actually found was good. Now, after you've launched, you help the speaker celebrate, he's already elevated, come to the core of evaluation. And that is educate. Tell the speaker what he can improve on, give him recommendations. The method that I follow is, I give 2 major recommendations patched with 2 simple ones. And the most important thing that I do here is I follow the what the problem, why the problem, and how the problem can be solved. At least for 1 recommendation, I surely do that. I'll give you the example or illustration again. In my opinion, Aishwarya's facial expressions when she said, she cried and I cried too, didn't match her emotions. Facial expressions are a crucial element of public speaking. Consider, she cried and I cried too. Notice how your facial expressions can add emotions to your speech. Working in front of a mirror, Aishwarya, and then with your mentor will surely help you get emojis on your face. And then I give a couple of other recommendations where I need and demonstrate, but tell her specifically where the problem is. And now the last step after the launch, celebrate and educate is the motivate. End your speech on a motivating note, but after summarizing. Why is summary important? 15 marks on the judges' ballot in the contest. And if I have to tell you, suppose you're watching Bahubali 2. What does the director do? He takes you through a glimpse of Bahubali 1 so that you do not forget what went into Bahubali 1. He kindles your memory or reinforces what you've seen there. So by summarizing, it helps the speaker recall what you've told him. And the audience, who sometimes is actually a little lazy and not heard your entire evaluation, at least has a summary in a nutshell. After the summary, you end with motivating. Could again be a quote, your own creative style. What I love to end my evaluation with is, I talk about something that inspired me the most. For example, in Aishwarya's speech again, here I make it very conversational between me and Aishwarya because it's a personal thing that I've really loved and I wish to appreciate her and motivate her. Dear Aishwarya, I have never helped a beggar on a street. In fact, I don't even look at them. You have inspired me with your message. Life is not fair, but we have to be fair. Contested. So you leave the speaker so motivated in the end. So just to summarize this, the opening is the launch of your speech. The body of your evaluation is the celebrate where you're giving the commendations, and the educate where you're giving the recommendations, and the end is you motivate the speaker. Before I move ahead, Neeta, can you play the next video? Now, before you start the video, let me tell you, this is the video of my district evaluation championship. I wish all of you have a look at it and find out whether I have used the nuts and bolts and the nuggets in the speech. And you can leave your comments in the chat box. Yes, you can play the video.
Preeti Kothari, contestant number 3.
Spectacular openings lead to great speeches. The opening of Divyashree's speech grabbed my attention with a prop. She introduced the topic in the first 30 seconds and built a rapport with me. Fantastic! Contest chair, my changing Toastmasters, and my loving daughter, Toastmaster Divyashree. My evaluation goes in 3 segments: positive points, points to progress, and points to ponder. The positive points: a personal story delivered with utmost conviction and credibility demonstrates the ethos element of the Aristotle model of communication. Your story touched my heart, especially when you said you were 35. I also loved the vivid imagery that you gave to Dr. Ram. Tall, sharp nose, receding hair, growth on his ears. A great storyteller transports you to his character, and you did that today. I could see him. What I also loved was the smooth transitions in your speech that made the speech so seamless. The simple gestures added to it. Now, for the few points to progress. The first one, your stage that I'm standing in is our arena, it's our battlefield. You had great scope to move upstage, downstage, left and right, and maybe do a dialogue with the doctor. I missed that. Consider using the stage completely because we are speakers. The next one is a long pause. It's not a moment of emptiness. It's a moment of reflection. Consider using a long pause, especially when we're high on emotions. For example, they called me down. I was nervous. I dropped my phone. I didn't know what to do. Notice the impact the pause would have created? And the last one I felt, your facial expressions didn't match your emotions at time. Consider working with a mirror to see that your facial expressions go along with your words. Now for the point to ponder. Winning speeches have what the problem, why the problem, and how to solve the problem. Your speech had what the problem, why the problem, but how? I wish to change, but how do I change myself? Do I meet more friends? Do I do parties? Do I read books? Or do I meet my Toastmaster friends often to help me bring up this change? That was missing. To know more on such house, I would suggest you watch Mark Brown's winning speech, A Second Chance, where he's brilliantly demonstrated this. To recap, vivid imagery, transitions, and personal conviction at the top level. Just work on dialogue delivery, pauses, facial expressions, and stage management. Dear Divya, I'm going through the same phase that you are going in. Thank you for inspiring me to accept the change. Contest chair. Thank you, Neeta, for playing the video. And I wish to have some conversation with you. So if you notice, you can also put it on the chat box. If you notice that what I'm talking to you today is what I did in my contest. I had an attention-grabbing opening. I gave him recommendations with the what, why, how. I gave him commendations in the very opening and then a few commendations later on, telling them what was the commendation and where was it. I also used the how, where her facial expressions were not matching her emotions, and I told her you can work with your mentor. And in the end, I motivated her by telling her what inspired me the most. So if you feel that they were there and if there's some points that were missing, kindly put it on the chat box and I would love to read about them. Also, most important is, if you see, every second of the 3 minutes and 30 seconds, I tried not to draw attention to myself because I remember my mentor continuously telling me, the speech is all about the speaker and not about you. Stop drawing attention to yourself, Preeti. And in the end of the learning session, I had to learn this and I tried doing it here. Moving on to the nuances of evaluation. Do not play this slide. In the nuances of evaluation, let us talk about the subtle differences in the contest and the club. When I moved from my club level into from the club evaluations to the contest evaluations, I found it very confusing. I faced some challenges. And then there is where I understood that there are differences, some subtle one, and this is what I learned. In the club, you evaluate the speaker on the project guidelines. But in the contest, there are no project guidelines. What are the project guidelines in the contest? It is your public speaking fundamentals. And these same public speaking fundamentals, as an evaluator at the club, you also have to follow the public speaking fundamentals along with your projects. In the club evaluation, there are no international speech contest guidelines or the judging criteria. But in the contest evaluation, there will be a specific judging criteria where there is, speech development, effectiveness, speech value, how is your voice, were you appropriate, was there correctness in language, grammar. So you follow the guidelines of the international speech contest. At the club, you address the specific needs of the speaker. If you're a good evaluator, you would talk to him before the meeting, ask him what his specific needs are, go through the project guidelines much before the meeting starts. In fact, you take a printout of it and go through it at home and then come, not just take the evaluation sheet from him at the club and immediately start. But in the contest, you don't even know who the demo speaker is. At the club, you have one speech, one evaluator. But at the contest, it is one demo speech and many evaluators from different parts of your country. And they're all amazing, they're great, and you learn so much from them. That's why I love contests, because you get a variety of evaluations to learn from. Next one is a time frame. The time that you get to write your evaluation and to deliver an evaluation at the club is around 10 to 15 minutes. But at the contest, it's just 5 minutes. The environment at the club is extremely friendly, known faces. I mean, today I'm feeling so comfortable because you're all known faces to me. But in the contest, it's extremely competitive. Competition in a very healthy manner, but it is competition. But after the contest, you end up becoming friends with all the people who competed with you. And the last one is the cuisine. In the club, you generally have one evaluator. He gives the excellent evaluations or who takes the ribbons every time. Every speaker wants to get evaluated by that evaluator. Now just imagine your mother make excellent upma at home. But would you love to have upma every day? No. But when you go into contests, you have a variety of things there. You will have a variety of cuisine, Mexican, Italian, Chinese. Maybe if Arjun wants to add some drinks to it, he could add that also. But you will have a variety of cuisine in your contests, different people and great learnings. I would like Neeta to just put the picture on the screen. If you would like to click a picture or note it down, you can do it. I would suggest everyone should participate in contests. It is great learning. You carry all that you've learned from your club into the contests. It is not about winning, but it's about the great learnings that you get from participating in contests. It's been a great experience to me, and I wish everyone should do it. Thank you, Neeta. We'll go to the next slide. The next dimension. You already covered the nuggets, the nuts and the bolts, the nuances of evaluation. And now the last slide is the need. Dear Toastmasters, is a genuine need to take the skills of evaluation from the world of Toastmasters into the real world. You remember my story when I screamed at my son? Post that incident, I reflected and started using these skills and brought this evaluation into my real life. into my home, my house, my children, even my husband. He doesn't hear. Most of the husbands don't hear, but I still practice that evaluation method. So just to summarize the entire session that I had is that you have to use your nuggets of public speaking. They are the principles. Go deeper, perform on stage, talk to the audience, use your precious time, practice, and don't forget the purpose of your evaluation. And next, moving on to the nuggets, nuts and bolts, launch, celebrate, educate, and motivate the speaker. Nuances between the club and the contest, the differences are there, but please participate. And do not forget to take your evaluation into the real life. Thank you so much. I'm open for questions if you have time.
We have 5 minutes.
Thank you so much. Are there some questions?
Yeah, Preeti, in fact, this is Sudesh. I do have a question.
Yeah, Sudesh.
Yeah, your evaluation was fantastic. One doubt that I have is in terms of the hand gestures. The evaluators, do they have to have a hand gesture that complements, or is it okay just that I have the note ready, I just compliment the speaker through my words?
Thank you. It's a great question. So if you notice today, I'm a hand gesture person. It naturally comes to me, when I'm talking, my hands move left, right. I'm lucky there's no one around here today. So it comes to me naturally. So I do it. As an evaluator or as a speaker, I would say, you cannot just put in gestures which are not natural, especially as the evaluator. So if you really are comfortable using them, use them. What's important is what goes into the content of your evaluation. Is it helping the speaker or not? But if you wish to add gestures, you can surely practice it. I mean, that can always happen, but it's not very important. I hope that answers your question, Sudhir. The purpose of evaluation is to motivate and offer genuine feedback and perform on stage. What you add to the performance is something that you are comfortable with on stage.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sudhir. Any other question?
Preeti, I have a question, Ajay here.
Yeah, Ajay, hi.
Yeah, so actually after giving multiple evaluations, at a point we feel that we have reached a plateau, okay? And going to that next level, or basically going from that plateau to the next level, next peak, how can that be done? Because whatever comments you receive, that is like that you've already covered. And then you have actually at a plateau, which I can say. So how can we actually move it to the next level?
Okay. So Ajay, if I have to get your question right, you're asking if you're already a wonderful evaluator, how do you get better, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
I'll tell you my journey with my mentor. My mentor is a strict person, okay? And as we started, I'm telling you, it's a journey of 4 to 5 months or even more, not less. We started with watching CC1 speeches, evaluate this Preeti. CC3, evaluate Preeti. And it was going simple, CC9, CC10, and even your pathway speeches. And then one day he tells me, come on now, go to a YouTube channel and just pick up some other speech and start evaluating it. I did that. And then he asked me to watch the World Championship speeches. I tell you, I must have watched one speech more than 5 or 6 times. There was nothing that I could find in it. And that's when I started reading books on public speaking. I started exploring more on Google. And I found out there's so much more to an evaluation. See, there are, whether the storyline was good, whether the transitions were connecting, was there a theme, a central message, were there pauses? I mean, there is so much to learn. It's a huge, huge arena. So I think everyone can grow. There is no end to growth. So in evaluation also, if you have to grow, you have to keep reading, you have to keep seeing videos and meeting people like veterans who are here, and they will surely guide you as mentors. I hope that answers your question, Ajay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
We have time for one last question.
May I please?
Yes.
Are you able to hear me? Yes. Thank you, Preeti. That was nicely put. I like the last one where you compared between the club and the contest itself, right? The timing. this is something a little different to ask you. You would have been going in for several evaluation contests. Has there been any time that you thought you would make it and then probably you were not selected in the finalist? And how did you deal with that emotion?
I'll take a little time, Neeta, if that's okay. So I traveled all the way from Hubli to Bangalore to give my evaluations, my table topics, and my prepared speeches. And at that time, I did not have anyone from my club come there along with me. Their wishes and their blessings were always there, but there was no one to accompany me there. In fact, there used to be a huge round of applause for one particular person who used to go on the stage as a contestant. And when I used to go, there would be pin drop silence because there would be no one from my club there. And those were the days. Sometimes I did extremely well, picked up a trophy, maybe the second runners up, the first runners up, or the first, and sometimes didn't pick up any. The day I picked up the trophy and I sat into my car and left, there was a great moment of joy, and the air that blew on my face was making me feel so nice. And the days that I lost, the same air came on my face, but they were drying my tears. But what is more important is I kept coming. And you won't believe that though my club members could not make it because it's a place far away, people from Bangalore, people from other places have become close friends. They applauded, they shouted, they hooted for me. And that's when success and failure were both the same. Because I had people along with me. That's the beauty of Toastmasters. You go anywhere in the world, you find your family. So I think I handled both the emotions well. But because I'm a person who cries very fast when I've lost, I've cried, I've fought with my mentor and felt bad about it too. But I recovered fast because of the people along with me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, because I think that's the biggest, because often, like, I'm sure you work really hard towards doing it, and there's always a slip between the cup and the lip. Something goes wrong and somebody else gets it, and when you are almost close to the finish line, right? Oh, I thought so brilliant. Thank you so much, and congratulations again to many more.
Thank you, Jyoti. But one point to add here is, one thing that I've always followed is, whether I win or I lose, I never blamed the judges. I never blamed the audience. I never blamed myself too. I thought I still have to learn more before I go ahead and pick up the trophy. So this is one thing that I always did. Thank you, Jyoti. So we have no time for questions. I would have loved to take a few more questions because that would help me learn. To end, I would say, accept both compliments and criticism, because it takes both the sun and the rain for a flower to grow. Before I sign off, I want to end with Kumran sir's words, which Nehal spoke about him on that day. Matru-deva bhava, Pitra-deva bhava, and Mentor-deva bhava. Have a trust in your mentor, and I'm sure you'll go places. Thank you so much.